What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Good Game Reviews. Here to do another game review. Last game review of the season. I decided to go ahead, wear the jersey, because we're not sure if he's going to come back. There's reports saying that he's expected not to return. So I was like, what the hell? I'm going to go ahead, put it on. It looks nice anyway, despite the name on the back of the jersey. But it's still a nice looking jersey, so I like it. But yeah, I decided to go ahead and put it on for the last game review of the season. Before we start talking about off-season stuff and all of that, let's go ahead, get this out of the way. Week 17, New York Jets versus New England Patriots. Final score 14-28. Patriots take the win. They close off the season with a 7-9 record and with a top 15 draft pick. So let's go ahead and get into the good, the bad, and all that stuff, and just cover it all. So let's start with the good. I want to go ahead and give my first good reward to Cam Newton, quarterback for the New England Patriots. Now, haven't had Cam Newton on the good list for quite some time. It was rare during the season. I thought he was going to pretty much be on the good list pretty much every game. That wasn't the case. It is what it is, though. He's on here now, and with 21 completions to 30 attempts, 242 yards, average 8.1 through the air, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a pass rating of 127.4. Pretty good outing. Cam Newton earlier on, he kind of looked shaky. There were times where he had the opportunity to get a first down with his legs. He didn't take that opportunity. There was other times where he would be looking at a completely different direction than where his open receiver was, particularly a play where he's looking at the right, waiting for somebody to get open, and Jacoby Myers is on the left side of the field. He's wide open, and he just misses his opportunity, and the Patriots have to ultimately punt the ball on that drive. So just a lot of miscues, things that we were used to seeing Cam Newton do throughout the season. They were also present in this game, but we saw more of the good sides of Cam Newton than some of the stuff that we were used to this season. He was able to move the ball with his legs, despite messing up on a few times. He did have a nice 49-yard run earlier on in the game. Was able to move with his feet later on in the fourth quarter. Ended the game with 11 attempts, 79 yards, average 7.2 on the ground. He had a fairly decent game. So yeah, I liked what I saw with Cam Newton. Also, he had the nice touchdown grab from Jacoby Myers, who threw yet another touchdown on the season to another player. So it was nice to see. It was nice to see them pull out all the tricks. They was like, screw it. It's the end of the year, in the season. We're not hiding anything. Let's just go ahead and throw it out there. And it worked out. Moving on to the next guy I want to, put on the good list. That's Sony Michel. Ever since Damian Harris' emergence on the team, we've kind of put Sony Michel as an afterthought. We were, so tired of seeing him rush for 3.5 yards per carry. Looking back at the last season, it just looked so underwhelming. And then, at certain times early on in the season, it just seemed like we were just seeing some of the same things yet again. And once it was time for Damian Harris to step up, he stepped up and carried the rock, averaging over 5 point yards per carry. He was just, he was doing the thing. He was phenomenal. And sadly, he went down. He didn't get to finish out this season, and Sony Michel was able to come back in and fill that space that was originally his. Now, while I still think Damian Harris is obviously the better back, in my opinion, Sony Michel made a case for himself in this game. He really did. Had, as far as rushing goes, 16 carries, 76 yards, averaged 4.8 on the ground with a long of 13. Receiving wise, 3 targets, 3 receptions, 60 receiving yards, average 20, had a touchdown also, first receiving touchdown of his career, let alone the season. This is his first receiving touchdown, so that was great to see. Um, if you look at some of the comparisons that you saw with Sony Michel, they was comparing him to Alvin Kamara. Now, obviously, that never materialized, but it's evident that he's still trying to keep that number one RB spot as far as his status on the team. He doesn't want to relinquish it that easily. I think the emergence of Damian Harris was a real boot to the backside that kind of woke him up and said, "Hey, you gotta wake up because you're gonna end up losing your job here." So hopefully that continues and he just gets better and better from now on. Next, I want to add another guy on the good list, Jacoby Myers, who I could pretty much put as a good guy of the season. If I was doing like a good and bad list as far as like the whole season went, Jacoby Myers would most certainly make this list. As far as this game goes, 6 receptions, 68 yards, average 11.3. He's pretty much been like the only dependable wide receiver that we've been able to see this season. Now, we know that's going to change in the offseason, either via free agency or via the draft. But as far as right now goes, I think that Jacoby Myers is somebody that the Patriots can depend on for the foreseeable future. As far as guys I could probably throw in here, Devin Azazi, he was able to get him a touchdown. Looked pretty nice in the small spurts that we saw. James White was looking a little bit of the James White of old because Cam Newton was seeing him at certain at certain times. He was able to get the ball to James White. It looked something like what Tom Brady was doing back in the day, where James White would leak out. He hits him right there for short yards. James White takes care of the rest. So I mean, it was nice to kind of see James White get involved like we're used to seeing him. This was a very low scoring year for him. Did not get a lot of touches, receptions, that the things that we're used to seeing James White get. He just didn't get a lot of them. So it was nice to see him do good this game. Also on the good list, we got Chase Winovich with 6 total tackles and 2 sacks. Now, I know the second sack, at the time, I thought it was half a sack. It was between him and Rashad Berry. But it was actually Chase Winovich, because once Chase Winovich made contact with Sam Darnold's knee hits the ground, hits the turf. So it's pretty much a whole sack for Chase Winovich. 2 sacks from Chase Winovich. I'm expecting good things from him going on into the future. So a nice piece that the Patriots have as far as that edge rushing position goes. Nice to have him there. If I could add somebody else, Lawrence Guy had a pretty okay game. He was pretty much the constant factor in the middle of that line. Same could be said for Adam Butler. He had him a sack also during this game. Jonathan Jones had the late game interception. It was the second interception of the game. He was able to intercept Sam Darnold in the end zone. Pretty much a solid piece all around. Hopefully, we can we can expect some good things from him going on into the future. J.C. Jackson, man, J.C. Jackson. It's not a lot of good things. I mean, it's not a lot of bad things, excuse me, that you can really say about J.C. Jackson. There's definitely some things he can clean up. He's still a young player, still some things he can improve on. But as far as just his overall play this season, it has been all pro level. Pro Bowl snub. I know a lot of us are, upset about that, but hopefully he does get some shine. Now, obviously, he has some competing to do as far as, Xavier Howard. It's pretty much a toss-up, in my opinion, because, I mean, J.C. Jackson has played as best as any corner in the league, any star corner in the league, and he definitely deserves a lot more shine than he's been getting. So, ends the season with 9 interceptions, tied first for interceptions this season. I tip my hat off to him. He's done an amazing job. And, like I said before, I expect some good things from him in the future. Um, and hopefully, if something happens with Stephon Gilmore, if the Patriots just decide maybe we want to find a way to move on from him. Um, Hopefully they can find some other guy to kind of pair with J.C. Jackson. But as far as right now, I mean, he's the guy. As far as I'm concerned, right now, he's the guy for us. Um, Anybody else that I could really throw out there? Um, I'll go ahead and throw out Jake Bailey. Jake Bailey down 3 in the 20, had a longer 65. Jake Bailey's pretty much been phenomenal the whole season. Had another good game. 6 total punts, average 38.7, net of 228. He did good. He did good. He's been doing good all season, so not a lot of bad things I can really say about him. He's you know he's great. So let's go ahead and move into the bad. As far as the bad goes, I could have easily put Cam Newton in the bad category if it wasn't for him kind of waking up like later on in the second half of this game and putting some points up on the board. I could have easily put him in the bad category, but I decided to go ahead and just shift him to the good. As far as just bad goes, I want to include just the overall offense as a whole. Offensive line looked pretty shaky this game, and it is to be expected. They were without David Andrews, they were out Shaq Mason. So a lot of holes, in that offensive line walking into that last game just beat up. It's to be expected. Receiver wise, it's just not there. I know we like what we saw from Devin Asiasi. We like what we see from Jacoby Myers on a regular basis, but it has to get better. As far as that, just the receiver position as a whole, both wide receiver and tight end, it needs a revamp. N'Keal Harry out, Demir Bird out. I'll give Dalton Keene maybe one more year. I expect a little more from him coming into the season. I'm willing to give him one more year, but they probably got to make a move at tight end anyway. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But as far as the wide receivers go, you can pretty much clean that whole basket and go into the offseason ready to reload. That's just something that they have to fix on that side of the ball. Defensively, obviously linebacker is a huge hole. Walking to this game beat up. It just seemed like this whole season, we didn't have a linebacker for the most part. Not a guy who was just consistent, at stopping runs, at pass coverage, just anything. It just seemed like we just didn't have that guy there. We definitely missed the guys that we lost in free agency. We definitely missed the guys like Hightower that we lost in the opt out. And vets that we thought that we would probably have during the season, they get injured, they get put on IR. It was just a huge blow at that position, position that I thought for sure was going to be one of our strong points, ended up being one of the weakest on the team. And just if I could add one more spot on there, just the defense as a whole, basically, as far as, or at least a front seven, because it just seems like they have a hard time stopping the run. And whether that has to do with the guys that they have on the interior side of the line, I'm not sure. But hopefully Bill Belichick's able to clear that up. Now, injuries, I'll go ahead and include some injuries on here. A notable injury. Adrian Phillips, he went down earlier on in the game. Didn't see him return. Now, of course, this is the last game of the season, and we're not playing for anything. So, it's just best that he goes and he gets himself some rest. Hopefully, we can bring him back, because he was a major contributor to this team. He was possibly the best defensive player on the team. Wasn't a lot of other guys out there who was doing more than Adrian Phillips. Let's just be honest about it. So yeah, hopefully he's well. He gets better, and hopefully the Patriots can bring him back for next season. Um, but overall, you know, as we expect, it kind of got a little muddy there at times. Patriots was looking at a 14-7, just leading leading the game, and we thought, oh, maybe this runs away from us. We lose on the last game of the season. They found a way to pull it back. They found a way to put us back in the win margin. Now, yes, Patriots in the season 7-9. Definitely nothing to write home about, but there's some things that we can build on in terms of the future. There's pieces there, and we're not so much in the hole that we were coming into the season. As we're looking towards this new season coming up. There's some money that can be spent, around 60 million. They got money. They got some money to spend. They can go out in free agency, make some moves. Hopefully we can draft a little bit better this year. At least offensively wise, we can draft a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, look, this team, they can only get better from here on out. That's my opinion. They can only get better from here on out. So this season, just look at it as an anomaly. Nothing that we have to get used to seeing, because improvements can be made, and they can be made rather quickly. It's just, quarterback change, obviously, add to that receiver depth, and add to that defensive line and that linebacker core. It's some easy changes that can be made to this team. This can get switched up very, very easily. Patriots are not, out of it. They're not banished to the land of mediocrity. So everybody chill. Let's just look at it as the 2020 season and leave it at that. So this was the last game of the season. Thank you for watching. Those of you who were watching, thank you for watching all the way through the season, for sticking it out with me. I appreciate it, each and every one of y'all. I know I don't get a lot of views on these videos, but it's just something that I like to do, and I like the fact that y'all keep watching, each and every week. It means a lot to me. So thank you. Later on in the future, I will be covering some, mock drafts and things like that. Possible free agency pickups. So just stay tuned for that. More content coming ahead. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Until next time, I'm out.